The Most High Show. My name is David. I'm going to be your host. And man, this is going to be an epic episode. I love when we do a thing called house cleaning. But first, we're going to have the mystic moment. We're going to get into all this right after these messages.
Welcome to the Most High Show, a show about recovery, spirituality, and all that. Produced, posted, and hosted by people in recovery who have strength and hope and want to share it with you. If you or someone you love is suffering, we want you to know you are not alone. This is the Most High Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back. That was the intro after the cold intro. You know what I'm saying? Again, my name is David. I'm the host. And this evening, we're going to have what we call cleaning the house, where it's going to be me and my brother, the Reverend Christian Jansen, rapping back and forth about a couple different things. And I want to welcome back one of our original co-producers, my good brother, Andrew Costa Nostra, is in the house. All the way from Detroit.
Yes, sir.
All the way from Motor City.
Motown, baby.
Look who's in the building.
Motown. It's
yeah.
Motown, baby.
So for those of you who aren't aware of what the Most High Show, okay, this is a digital platform where we sit around and we rap and we talk about things like recovery. We talk about the journeys of addiction. And we just try to find out ways to be helpful and stuff like that. And then most of the time we have somebody sitting in what we like to call the decadent seat of service. And they're the ones that bring it in, and they tell most of the time they tell their journey. Their life's journey, you know, to where they are in recovery today. But today, again, this is a house cleaning episode where Christian and I, we go back and forth and we just rap to each other, man. And it's really special to me because even though we are best friends, we never get a chance to sit around and talk to each other too much.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we have to take this time on the show and do that. But first, we're gonna have the mystic moment. My friend, bring it in. Mystic moment, mystic moment.
All right. So I don't know if I've ever told you this. It's kind of a story. It's a parable.
Okay.
All right. There. Think about in the not too distant future, and it's a country where it's illegal to practice Christianity.
Okay.
It's illegal to be a Jesus follower in this
We're
country.
making up this place.
It's a parable.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Okay.
You're doing a parable right now.
Yes. So it's illegal to practice. I mean, there are places on
Yes.
right now where it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine this place where it's, not too distant future, and it's illegal to practice Christianity. And if you're caught practicing Christianity, you will be hung and killed. Well, they catch this guy, and he's sitting in the courtroom, and the prosecution is on the other side of the courtroom, and they're bringing out all the evidence.
That shows he was practicing Christianity.
Yeah, because they're trying to win a conviction.
Yes.
And he's sitting there, and he knows he's worried, but he's also kind of not, because And so the prosecution brings out his Bible, and he lays it out, and it's underlined and highlighted and color-coded, highlighted, and there's notes in the margin, and it's not looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And they break out some devotionals that the guy had that are all, folded pages and obviously have been read over and over again, and it's underlined. And
Probably some
highlighted.
highlights in there. Yeah. Okay.
Then he's got this notepad full of songs to God that he wrote from the depths of his soul. I mean, these are his
Worship songs.
Worship songs. Yeah. And so the prosecution lays out the Bible and the devotionals and these songs. And the judge says, well, I think I've seen everything I need to see here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guy sits up sharp.
He's ready to take it.
And the judge says, I'm ready to render my my verdict.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's ready for it, right? The judge bangs on the gavel.
Boom, boom.
Not guilty.
Ooh.
The guy, he's kind of outraged.
The
What
guy,
do you mean?
the
defendant, he's outraged. What do you mean? I'm not guilty. You saw my Bibles with the underlinings, and you saw my heart and soul poured out in psalm to my Lord Jesus. You're saying that I'm not guilty? He says, yeah, we see no evidence that you helped the widow, that you clothed the poor, that you fed the needy,
Oh man.
that you housed the orphan.
Oh.
Therefore, you did not practice Christianity,
Amen.
and you are free to go.
You just read some. You're a highlighter. Ouch. Now, in that courtroom, I guess he goes, but in another courtroom, the upper room, it could be. It's a serious issue, man.
So that's a parable. His name escapes me. It's from a book called The Orthodox Heretic. Peter Rollin
Okay.
is the author, and he has a lot of these parables. So what do you think about that? What do you think the point of that parable is, and how does it speak to you personally?
Man, I think that it's all about sincerity and doing the work and meaning it. I mean, if you're, I can see why, after you put it the way you did, why he was judged not guilty. Even though he read the scriptures, he did a devotional, he did all these things. He didn't put in no work. The Holy Spirit didn't guide him into putting in that service, man. You know what I mean? I think even in that action, it really, because people do service work all the time. Doesn't necessarily mean, they're God-fearing people or they worship Jesus. They could just be going through the actions too. So to me, those types of parables that show, to me, it reveals the need for to be real, to be sincere, to be, honest about it and do some work. That's James right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, is it James that says that this is true ministry, right?
Right.
To help the widow and,
Put in the work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily
when I was hungry, you fed me. When
Right.
I was in jail, you visited me. When I was sick, you came and helped me, right?
Yeah.
Lord, when did we ever see you in jail? When did we ever see you sick? And he says, well, you do so for the least of these. You've done so for me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know necessarily, it could be anything. Is your walk guided by God? And is the things you do, do you have a communication with the Lord where you feel led in your actions throughout
But
the
even
day?
that can be like walk.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the Lord doesn't lead me to help anyone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then I think that's what I mean. I think in some ways, the work of God comes in all different kinds of ways too. You know what I mean? But I think
You too nice.
Yeah.
Give people
no, I think it comes in a lot of different ways, man. I think, being led by the Lord, if it's real, if you really have a relationship with God, okay, and you're being led to do things all in his name, and that's something that I think we have to ask ourselves as well, because there's a lot of times I feel like the work I do right now is led by God. But do I feel like that when I'm in the mix of it? Sometimes I'm just working. Sometimes I'm just doing work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have to have a constant communication with the Lord to know and have that feeling that I'm doing the right thing. It's almost kind of like the when we were with Crystal. Her question for the Mystic Moment was, how do we know that God's talking to us?
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in that communication, we have to know that we are following God in our works. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying, and I think that we've what we do has been guilty of people looking at what we're doing as not real work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And somebody came in, a couple years ago, and they're like, "So all you do is podcasting?" He owns a sober living and just all high and mighty.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so you do your sober living for free then?
Yeah. Amen.
You don't charge them? You don't get a salary?
Oh, they coming in and out of there? Oh, they're just coming in and out. You just letting them in.
So I know that
Noah's
the
Ark.
perception. So I think the point is that I can't perceive whether or not you're doing
Right.
right? I can only go by what I know and what I read, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the prophet is not a person who tells the future.
Mm-hmm.
The prophet is someone who tells the truth,
Amen.
right? We like to
Where
think
did I
of
just hear that?
someone say the prophecy, I might
That
have.
was, I know who it was.
Who was it?
Roar.
It was Roar.
Roar
Yeah.
said that. Yeah.
Yeah. We think of prophecy as
Tell
I'm
the future,
prophesying.
yeah.
Oh, I can see
Yeah.
in your future you are
Yeah.
going to make the best.
Yes, I am the prophet, and you are doomed.
Right.
Yeah.
But the prophet tells the truth.
Right.
Do you get that same email, or was it the one I forwarded you?
I get the email and I subscribe to it.
Oh, good.
But that was the first one you sent to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I do think there's some truth to why the parable was wrote, because I do think that as a whole, Christianity ought to be kind of put on notice a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
And I think that, this is something that I'm passionate about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's when I look at the way that we express our faith today
Mm-hmm.
as a collective, we're not a collective. We're not together.
No.
We can't
But
agree
people
on
got their own opinions, man.
Everybody got
their own opinions. They sit, and I'm putting myself in there because I'm people too.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we all sit around with our own judgments and our own ways. And we have these, I think, we create these invisible shields, man, that is really led, very humanly led, and by pride and ego, that really keeps the connection and the true and what potential could be gotten in the name of God from happening because of our own ways.
Right.
We fall short.
And I've shared, when we started the Most High Show initially, we were going to tell conversion stories of people who had these wild conversions with Christ. Mm-hmm. And, we had a hard time finding those. But we could find the conversion in recovery.
Amen.
Right? And, I do think that we have become collectively kind of you believe the right things
mm-hmm.
and you're good, and not so much you do the right things. Right. And we've kind of said, well, if I give my tithe, if I show up on Sunday, mm-hmm. if I do the church service project for the
mm-hmm.
year, and I do all these things, and I'm in the good column,
right?
And there's no more that I need to do, right? There's another parable by Peter Rollins that also speaks to this thing, right? It's the way we use religion to justify what you said about to justify us not following the leading, mm-hmm. us not walking in obedience, us not walking in faith.
It's so funny because, in my head, and this is just my opinion, right? I think Jesus came to earth specifically to stop that train of thought.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We have come full circle with this, man, because it's I was just talking about this too, how radical of a difference. Just imagine it, imagine the scriptures, put those scriptures of John the Baptist leading the way for Jesus to come and the things that he was saying and the crowds that were watching this all take place. It was so different than what was happening.
Yeah.
Okay, what they thought worship was, what they thought was going to get them to the afterlife, what they thought, being a God-fearing person was. These dudes are laying around come Sunday. They're not even lifting up their hands to wipe their butts or anything like that. They got it really jacked up, man.
Right.
They're living in these traditions. They're making their tithes. They're going here. They're doing that. They're following these this way. But the question is where is your heart at with God? Where is your grace and worship of the Holy Spirit? Where is Jesus in your day? I say it again, walk in your daily walk. Where is that connection?
Yeah.
Is it moving you? Is it the reason why you're doing the things you're doing?
Right.
Are you being led? Do you feel led at least?
Yeah.
Not if you're doing the right thing.
The quote unquote right thing.
Not if you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you into, I don't know.
La Costa. What do you got?
What
You
up
got
with that?
thoughts on that?
Yo, you're moving and grooving over there. I feel like you're in your lane. You're getting in your
Yeah,
lane right
yeah,
now.
yeah, dude.
I see him touching
He is
stuff
flowing,
like,
dude.
on the ones and twos
And he's
all
not
that.
yawning like
Yeah.
Jeff. Wink, wink.
I got my Red Bull, man. So I'm back to the ways of the Red Bull. I actually never left the ways of the Red Bull, but man, I think it comes down to kind of being truthful to yourself too. Because if you're truthful to yourself and you just genuinely are a good person though too, then you're gonna be good to other people, and you're gonna try and do the right thing.
Yeah.
And so if you're truthful to yourself, you're not, the honesty is going to come. Everything's going to come after that, because kind of what ultimately kind of you're supposed to be doing. It's hard to find. This is kind of weird, like not being able to look at you guys.
I know, from the back.
Yeah. I'm like trying to look at y'all from the screen, but then I'm also blocking Christian. First of all, it's good to be back.
Hey,
It's
it's
good
good to have you
good to
back,
have you in the
dude.
room. Yeah.
Yeah.
For real, man. It feels
This
good.
fell together nicely. But
Yeah.
I like what you're saying, because
I dig it too.
I like that idea, and I think like religious people don't like that. Be true to yourself. But the thing is that Jesus knew who he was, and it's kind of like that. What we have in the inscription of our recovery coins: "To thine own self be true."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there is some sort of like accurate self-appraisal that comes with, and I guess it's humility, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
I
if
think,
you're being
like-
true to yourself, I think to me, true to yourself means like you're not, your honesty isn't derived from other people's opinions. You're true to yourself.
You kind of,
you know what I'm saying?
You know who you are.
Yeah, or at least getting to know who you are. Your attempt
You're
is to
attempting
find yourself.
You don't know me.
Yo, man,
Fool.
you don't even know
mean,
me,
I don't know me.
dog.
I
Cool,
don't.
need your assistance. So show persistence.
Oh,
Any problem I got,
I just put my fist in.
I don't. I'm everybody I think that like kind of remembers me from a few years back knows that I'm not like the most religious person,
Yes.
and so I think that coming from a background of recovery, like you said, like you were saying, being true to yourself is kind of what we need to do, especially in recovery, and so that's kind of like where I was coming from with everything.
No, I dig that, man.
So,
Yeah.
Being real, that means something,
All right.
and being comfortable in that.
yeah.
Being comfortable
Yeah.
about being real. Like, man, listen, there was times, right? I mean, this walk with Jesus, if you didn't look right in them pews, you weren't right.
Yeah.
And I like the way there's a lot about what's happening now in the realm of religion where people are getting it. And what hurts me is that it's kind of like there's a lot being filtered out because people are just like, I
Right.
ain't
They're
with
throwing
this.
it all out.
They're throwing it all away.
Like even just us having the conversation.
Yeah, we'll cut.
Openly is automatically tuning people out.
It's
too.
tuning them out. Just have this subject matter, right?
Yeah.
Because they think you're ignorant, whatever judgment comes with that, talking about
Right.
a higher power and God and all that.
Yeah.
But what I also see is that the whole approach of learning to walk with Jesus is an approach of being open-minded, being willing to take other people into consideration regardless of what they look like or regardless of who they worship. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like loving that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before it was the divide, and it's, it still is in a lot of ways, but that divide was like everything. Oh, you're a Muslim? Oh, you're a Hindu? Oh, man, I like you, but too bad you're going to be burning in hell. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Hold on, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
I'm not gonna see you up in heaven.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. I think that kind of thought process is, I see a wave of more inviting and like walking with Jesus without like memorizing the book of Luke, maybe, not walking with Jesus, knowing the scriptures and like in your own personal heart and being able to be a witness without, with the Bible in your hand. Hey, the Lord.
Yeah.
All that. So,
I would take it, and then we'll probably wrap with this.
Yeah.
But I would take it one step further.
okay.
I would say if you are living a life in true service to God's people, and everyone is God's people,
Amen.
right?
Everyone.
If you're living a life of service and you are doing the things true ministry is,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you are following Christ,
I think you're walking
whether
with the
by
Lord.
by name or deed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think wherever there is truth, wherever there is life, wherever there is light, wherever there's love, there Christ is.
Regardless of what you look like, where you come from.
Or who you give credit to.
Yeah, if you got the Stacey Adams or a pair of sandals,
Right.
you're walking with the Lord, man.
Right.
When you
and
do
whether
those things.
whether you say he is Lord or not, you're still living.
Yes. Oh,
through-
yeah. You're right. I dig what you're saying.
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
living
like
that
taking
life.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking it a step even further.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I'm with that. It's a good topic, dude.
Yeah.
I hope we put it
It
together.
wasn't very mystic, but
Oh, that was pretty mystic to me, man. I'm not that mystical of a guy, though. Hey, folks, that was the mystic moment. After these messages, we're gonna get back with some house cleaning with my bros.
Why
After
Most
this.
High Media? Because I don't have the answers. Other people do. And learning from the experiences, the stories, the perspectives, seeing people who've been through the darkest of circumstances and then have come out of it on the other side and have lived extremely exciting, fulfilling lives and tapped into a way of being and a way of living, but it's actually real and obtainable.
There's a phrase that says it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I feel like I'm a vet from a war zone, and I feel very comfortable being in the garden, knowing that this is the best place for me. But under extreme circumstances, the warrior can return if necessary, and hopefully that never has to happen.
People, welcome back, welcome back. So again, if I haven't said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. This is a house cleaning episode where we get to, where Christian and I and my brother Andrew can really catch up with each other and just talk about what's going on with us. Like I said, even though, you know, it may seem like we're with each other a lot and we're all, you know, and we're talking a lot, you know, we both got lives. We got work. We got to do our thing, and it's really on this platform is where we get to hang out and like share with each other, and have that opportunity just to catch up with my bro on this platform is a blessing to me. So I want to start off by saying, what's up, dude?
what up?
What's happening with you?
What up?
What you been through? What's going on?
Well, before I do that, I want to get into what you were into.
Okay, what was I into? What are you talking about?
About this harm reduction kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness! So this was, man, the last couple of weeks has been very fast, very like meaty. A lot of stuff was going on. I was blessed to meaty. I was blessed to participate in a harm reduction conference for a week in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
And man, it was such a special time, and it was number one, it was a bucket list destination that I've always wanted to go to for many reasons. You know, it was one of those things that I never thought that I would get there, and man, it was just overwhelming just flying into there, and you know, getting to see the land, and then participating in such a subject matter that I really know only the basics of.
Harm reduction.
Harm reduction, you know.
So what did you learn?
Well, I learned first the big picture is it's coming. Harm reduction's coming. Okay?
Well, I think it's here, right? Isn't it?
I
Or you
think it's
coming even a bigger.
I think
way?
it's coming in a bigger wave.
Okay.
That
What is harm reduction?
harm reduction is based on, okay, let me compare it. Okay, I'm a person that practices abstinence from drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that's me. That's what I do. I have my own way that I deal with my life in recovery, and I love it. Okay, but the idea of harm reduction is sort of around maintenance. Preserving life through the actions of people that are addicted to drugs. Instead of saying stop, let's make it safe. Let's make your using safe. Let's try to work a way around where we can.
So you're talking like about legalizing it. You're talking about like
not so
switching
much
to different medicines.
Not so much legalizing it, but more of the process. Like a great example of harm reduction is needle exchanges. So there's a lot of people who inject drugs, right? Heroin addicts, meth addicts, people shooting coke, people shoot up a lot of stuff, right? Yeah. But the ability to get a clean needle is difficult at times, right? It's not easy to have clean works whenever you're using. So what a lot of people do now, they have these needle exchanges where to reduce the risk of spreading disease like AIDS, hepatitis C, other very damaging,
the Rona. Can you get the Rona with a needle?
I don't know if you can get the Rona with a needle. I wouldn't doubt it. You can get a lot of stuff using a dirty needle. Yeah. Okay. And they have these needle exchanges now where people can go and turn in their dirty needle.
Who's they?
There's a bunch of different places. They're called needle exchanges, and they're ran by different organizations.
Okay, so it could be like a city or nonprofit, or
over the overarch of it is the government, like the CDC supports the idea of needle exchanges, and they support the idea of harm reduction too. So that's what I mean. It's a wave now. It's on a national level, but state by state, there's a lot of obstacles in what the people want to put out as harm reduction. There's like everywhere else, right? But the idea, like even clean pipes, so to me it's so that just the thought of that, plus like maintenance, like trying to use Suboxone and things like that.
How much money did they release for clean crack pipes last year?
I don't know. I don't know what the number was, but to me that is some wild talk, right? I mean, I'm sorry, like it's wild talk to me, and I really had to approach that whole idea with a big open mind. You know what I mean? I loved. This is one thing I appreciated the steps for when I went there, is because I practiced an open mind, because the structure of my sobriety, one of the essential aspects of being in recovery is being open-minded and willing. So that was in the forefront of my mind, landing in this beautiful island.
This was new stuff to you.
It was, well, I knew about needle exchanges and stuff like that, but now I'm here in this place where they're discussing, the counseling that's involved with it, all different kind of new cutting edge styles and philosophies and ways on how to go about it. So in a lot of ways, I felt a little bit judged at the beginning. You know what I mean? That's why I know I had to really change my thought process, because
you were judged because you had them braids on and that no high like most high. That's what. That's why they judged you,
no
bro.
high like the most high.
They're like, who is this celebrity walking in here?
Well, you have this model of harm reduction, right? And what do they have to compare it to when it comes to addiction and alcohol?
Abstinence.
They had so they're comparing it to a model that,
which is kind of like not helpful, right?
Well, to me, it was, I don't know. You have to compare it to something, though. If I was the people there, what they're trying to do is show you a different avenue. What they're saying is this way is not working. People are dying by the masses, that this is not saving people, this method. And that method is the method of abstinence. But we have a new way. And I had to realize that they're not judging me. Mm-hmm. But I did feel judged at first, right? They're not judging me. They're just showing a different avenue, another way. So I came to the conclusion after all that. It's like, man, whatever saves lives, dude, I'm down for it. You know what I mean?
I just got a text. It's $26 billion worldwide.
26 what?
$1 billion worldwide.
To crack pipes or needle exchanges?
I think probably both.
Harm reduction.
Harm reduction, I think, would be what it is.
We have an expert listening, thankfully.
Yes.
who we will get on. We should get on the show.
Oh,
to talk about
absolutely.
this.
Yeah, to give
we definitely need to.
yeah, we definitely need to, because they're doing a lot of good work. They're introducing a new way of thought, which I'm open to that, man.
But it's not really new, right? Like
No, it's not really new.
Methadone
Has been around. I mean, if you look at
I know
it,
a guy who's been on methadone for 40 years.
yeah, if you look at it in that
Is that
scope,
still harm reduction?
in my opinion, I think, like I was just telling Costa today, putting a drinking age limit on drinking and alcohol is a method of harm reduction. Age is on cigarette smoke.
What's
Cigarettes.
that pill that alcoholics take that makes them violently ill when they drink alcohol?
Oh my goodness, and abuse.
And abuse.
Yeah,
Would that be
be
considered a form of
that would be a
harm reduction?
Yeah, but see, but
then they also talk about I don't know a lot, so I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not I may sound like I'm taking a position. I'm not. I'm just kind of like giving.
No,
us
let's
some,
air it out. I
yeah.
like this. I want to talk about it.
So when we've done a couple filming in Philadelphia with Sue Lehman.
Yeah.
And one of the times when we went up there, they were really pushing for these open use kind of clinics where
that's a definite piece of harm reduction.
So in Kensington Beach, it's basically a citywide open injection site.
Right.
Which potentially could be viewed as some sort of harm reduction, right? Everyone's kind of, all the users are, maybe it's harm reduction for the city.
Right.
Right. We get all the addicts together in one part of the town.
Yeah.
Right. Even though there's public transit going right above them. But anyway, they were trying to get in place these buildings where people could come in, do the needle exchange, shoot up, and under medical supervision, they could get their dope tested if it was hot, like for
that's
too much
a big
fentanyl.
thing. Yeah, that's a big thing.
They were, I think they had to get some sort of counseling, some sort of
something.
There was some kind of
there's a social worker
hurdle.
involved.
Yeah.
All right.
And I guess there's a federal law. I don't wonder if our friend who's watching knows what the name of it is. There's a federal law which is basically like the federal money can't go towards like basically like spots where people are using. I can't remember something, crack house law or something.
If you know, type it in or let me know.
I can't remember what the name of it is. But essentially
that's it.
So they didn't approve it because of that law that's on the books, right?
Right.
Which is basically like using
So that's
governmental
one of
funds.
That's one of the obstacles. That kind of stuff. That's where they find.
And then the public was very divided on this. So you had a lot of people saying this is not a good thing.
Right.
This is promoting drug use.
Right.
But then you had another part of the public saying this is a good thing. This allows us to start talking to these people, creating connections, allows us to give them clean needles, and allows us to make sure their dope is not, they're not dying from fentanyl overdose. And it could be a good
So
thing.
it's really a battle of philosophies, right?
Yeah.
It's a battle of people's ways of thinking. What I like to do when it comes to that is I think the stats show that the motto of harm reduction is saving lives. And I've got to take that into consideration in my thought. Even though I do practice abstinence, I do,
well, if you ask the abstinence people, their stats say they're doing pretty good too, right? You ask harm reduction people, they're like, our stats are looking good.
Everybody's stats should be looking good, though. Hopefully everybody's stats are looking good.
Everybody's like, we're
doing great over here. I don't know what you're talking about, that reduction. Reduce for what? We're great over here. But yeah, so but there was a lot of cool things I loved. What I loved about that whole experience was the kindness of the people, the intelligence of the people, the efforts that these people were making to like really try to do something about this thing that's this addiction and that's killing people right now, with fentanyl being a big topic of ours on this platform over the past month. I mean, whatever you can do to keep these people from dying, please, let's be open-minded and look at it. Let's take a look at it. Now, they have testing strips that will tell you if it has fentanyl in it. And they're passing these strips out now. I think that's amazing. Now, me as a dope fiend, if I see the dope strip fentanyl, I'm like, oh, let me get that.
Right. You tested
As a dope
for it.
fiend. Yeah, I'm
You're not-
testing. Like, how strong is that? It's on the green? All right, let me get 2 of them. And that's the thing. But
Come get your
Yeah.
hot bags. Come get your hot bags. Right. Yeah.
But the thing is about that is a lot of people are thinking that they're buying like they're getting Xanax or they're getting like
Right, or
perks and they're
cocaine
pressed. I
or
think I
meth.
just read something that said like 80% of all those types of pills now are not. They're all pressed
Of the street.
of the street stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So think about that.
I even heard it's in starting to get into weed now, and so
Yeah, I don't know about
I
that.
don't know about
keep
that, but
hearing
I heard about that,
conflicting
yeah.
information on weed. I hear some people swear by it,
Yeah.
and some people are like, no, it's not on the
Right.
weed.
Right.
But
I heard it on Google, so it has to be true.
So again,
it is something. It is like information that's going out there.
right, and they
Yeah.
have places that I saw this place in Canada where they have a place where you take your drugs and test them there, and they take it in like beyond a test strip. They like look under the microscope. Give me a second, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a whole room of that, right? So this is all new to me.
That sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
You check my dope. Like
Yeah.
how much of the government funds is going towards checking
Or how much
dope
is
fiends
well?
dope?
How much is going to go?
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
then even when they go, we're gonna put this much,
yeah,
right? And then like all the hands that grab onto it on the way down,
yeah.
right? It's like the $10,000 hammers that the
So I rock out with Narcan Nate, right? You know that's the homie from
Yes.
CA, right? It's a homie from the
Yes.
West Coast. I rock out.
You
with
ran
that
into
dude.
him.
I ran into him in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
I think his boss got him all the ability.
He told me he takes back all the terrible things he said about you.
But so I was trying, so we went back and forth on Instagram, and I never ever do that. But I was just kind of like, I don't want to ever look like I'm being. I'll put it like this: emotionally, for a while there, I felt some type of way. So I had to really look at this in logic and looking at it logically and getting to know the people and getting to know what their intent was. Is like, what am I expecting here? Am I expecting perfection? It's never going to be perfect, right? But I feel that these people that were at the front lines of this and actually putting the work in to try to do these things were sincere, and they're really trying to help the deaths that are happening from drugs on a daily basis. I think there's an initiative, and I think it's big, and I think there's a lot of intelligent people in the medical field that's all pushing for this to happen. And when you see something that organized and that like it was overwhelming to see 4,000 or 5,000 people there on an island all rapping about it, really cool. I'm like, yo, all right, this is coming. I mean, this is going to be a thing.
But that's the thing that gives me a little pause is because the medical field is getting behind it because it's, and again, like we're just talking.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about this, worrying about this.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that there are people who really do spend a lot of time thinking and worry about this.
Right.
Right. So don't take what I'm saying as like I'm against it or
Right.
super for it. Right.
Yeah.
But anytime you have the conglomerate, and this might just go back to my misfit ways, but anytime the conglomerate is going,
It's suspect.
It's suspect to me.
It's suspect.
Because you can't make, here's a good way to make money off the dope. It's just like the cigarette companies, right? It's starting the freaking American Cancer Association, right? It's like, okay, we can't tax them that hard on the drug, but here we can tax them on all these extra services. When we get someone on methadone is much harder to kick than heroin, I've been told by people who have kicked both, right? So when you're on it, which is why my homie's been on it for 40 years,
Right.
because it's really hard to kick.
Oh,
And the
it's
same
worst.
thing with, I think it's Suboxone. It's the
They're
other
tough.
one. It's really tough
It's tough.
to kick. So what ends up happening is you become chemically dependent on that. Now, it is less harmful
Right.
because you're number one, you're not copping dope from the dope man. You're not risking robbery. You're not committing a crime.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have
It's
the risk
accepted.
of getting a hot bag.
It helps with the stigma.
It helps with the stigma.
Yeah.
It is a safer alternative to straight up getting dope off the street,
Mm-hmm.
right? But anytime it's like everybody's getting behind it, it kind of makes me go,
Right.
you know, it's very
What's
interesting.
really happening?
I was
Is Pfizer behind it?
I was told by our friend that
Oh, we got an
model-
anonymous professional. We're gonna expose this person later on.
the law that you're thinking about is the Model Syringe Services Program Act.
Okay.
Ooh.
And so
thank you.
That's
I like this back and forth, man.
I think I believe that is what you're talking about.
Okay. So that's the law they were trying to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, and what does it do? Yeah, I mean, another thing that it just organically happens is it juices up a political platform that'll probably be on the big stage here in a little while. You know,
Right.
so it's all that kind of stuff. But again, I don't want to speculate about those things. Like
Well, let me take. Can I? Sorry. When we did the Narcan distribution,
Narcan is harm reduction, brother.
Absolutely.
Okay, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
100%.
And I got it here.
Yes,
And I give
I'm
it
down
away.
with the Narcan.
So let me just before the
Hello.
before the harm
Yeah.
reduction.
before
crew
we get
comes
before
to
the
crucify me,
pitchforks.
I got Narcan on deck. I give it away. Okay. I go purposely into
Hey,
areas and I give
hey,
it
tell
away.
it like it is. Putting in that work.
But when we were giving it away in Philly, one of the guys was telling us, a couple guys were saying that what some people do, and this is just the sickness of a dope fiend, right? They take the Narcan, open it up, and try to shoot the Narcan.
That's that does not surprise me. I'm gonna tell you something. This is the truth. When I first saw Narcan, I was like, "What's in that?
Can I get
What's that
high?
make you feel like?
Right.
What's that doing to them?
Right.
They're giving them a rush that brings them out of a freaking coma of heroin dope fiend coma. What is in that to make them come out of there like that?
Yeah.
I wonder what that feels like.
Right.
That's a dope fiend mind, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've even been asked by another person. It's about, you want to try it? I'm like, nah.
I'm good.
But I'm thinking about it. You know, that's how my mind works. You know what I'm saying? But I'm cool. But yeah, so again, you know, the experience of being a part of that, I mean, it was such like, dude,
It opened your eyes
come
to
on,
the
man.
thing.
Yeah, man. And I didn't feel judged anymore. One thing that was, if I say it was, and it wasn't even, I guess it wasn't even supposed to have been there. Okay. Because the topic is harm reduction. Right. But I can't help but to I wanted to stand up and say, hey man, I like all this. I love these. I love you guys talking, but bro, addiction is very complex, man. Honestly, it's not even about the dope. Persons that are hurting from drug addiction, it's not about alcohol. It's not about the dope. Them are just things, man. What is wrong with your soul, bro? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with me, man? What's that?
Yeah.
That's harm reduction to me.
Yeah.
Like getting right with God, getting right with your higher power, accepting, surrendering, really digging into yourself.
Yeah.
That aspect
Right.
was what I would love to see more. And they have, I didn't witness it there, but they
It's
do
like
have
the
a
difference
whole.
between eating your vegetables or taking a statin.
That's it.
Taking the blood thinner because the cholesterol's too high.
Right.
Or just stop eating pork.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
In some way, what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I do think you're leading the conversation in a direction where I think is there are two things. Number one, there's this thing called the, I think it's called the ACE, the ACEs assessment. You know what that is?
Mm.
Hold
I
on,
don't
let me
think
pull
so.
this up. I haven't been taking my nootropics, so my word recall is off.
Can I just say something while you're looking?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
It up? So I'm all for harm reduction. You know, I believe that it's because we've all been there before. Before we actually got into recovery, we were all at a point where we know, we didn't want to get sober at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I believe that harm reduction will help those people And at some point, maybe they will want to be fully abstinent.
Yeah, I think there's a stat that shows that more people that are a part of choose that route of maintenance and moderation and all that whole idea of harm reduction, that more people in that community end up going to treatment.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I think it's like
because it's like baby steps in the direction.
Sure.
Yeah.
Rather than going, oh, I got to stop for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
And and it keeps people kind of around enough to make that decision.
Right.
Because like with fentanyl being the way it is, I've had I don't know how many, 8, 9 since 2020 died from fentanyl. Friends.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And like 12 people in total since 2020. And if
say
they
that
had
again. 12 people that have passed away
since
in the last 2 years.
Yeah, due to
12
due to
people,
multiple
bro.
different things. Not all fentanyl, not all overdoses.
Yeah.
But like those people that died from fentanyl, if they had harm reduction, if that was practiced enough, they might still be here to get back to where they were with their abstinence.
Right.
And I think it just gives more people more of a choice.
Yeah.
in
Another
order
avenue,
to-
another option, another
option.
way. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And so
I'm
I
down
think
with
it's, I think it's, from that perspective, I think it's extremely important.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion and kind of how I see it.
Absolutely.
No,
dude,
but I think
dig
you
that.
make
I
you
think
make
you
a
hit
lot
the nail on the
you
head
make
right
a lot of
there.
sense, and that's what when we were doing the Narcan for Restoration Rotary, we had some club members who thought, well, are we really doing anything for recovery by giving out Narcan?
That's a big question. Yeah.
And my response was what I was told when I was first told about Narcan 5 years ago was maybe less than that, 4 years. You can't recover if you're dead.
There you go.
Exactly.
Right. So, but the ACE questionnaire it stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and so you got to look this thing up. Basically, if you took an ACE test, right, and it's a questionnaire, depending on adverse childhood experiences, your length of life can decrease by 40%. Depending on whether you experienced traumatic events as a child, whether you witnessed acts of violence in your home, whether you were sexually molested, whether you were malnourished, whether you weren't paying attention to, whether you weren't provided with security emotionally, mentally, and physically. And this ACE test, they can correlate the data, right? And it's been around for a minute. They can correlate the data to say, people who have these adverse childhood traumatic experiences, their life is shortened. They have higher chance of heart disease, higher risk of cancer.
Yeah, man.
Because they weren't raised in a loving, nurturing home.
They were neglected.
They have a higher risk of getting cancer.
Yeah.
What do you and I know for 150 stories that you and I have done in the show? Everybody shares what?
Trauma.
Childhood trauma.
Everybody shares trauma
on some
man.
level.
Yeah. Everybody shares trauma, dude.
Right.
And that's what.
That's kind of what you're getting at.
That's what I'm getting at.
What about the soul?
Yeah.
You're getting at this ACE score. These children, we as humans are experiencing traumatic events, which then in turn leads to seeking a solution, a chemical solution to satiate us.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, you are on the other side of a fence. Whenever you are neglected and abused, and you're going through who knows what there's no distinct trail of trauma. It comes in many different ways. So if it hits you in a certain way, what it does is it really puts you on the other side of the fence of things. Your whole lifestyle is not going to be clean cut. Like very rarely if somebody suffers from trauma and they end up just like living a normal, quote unquote, normal life. So the susceptibility to all the bad things are a lot higher for a person who was raised in trauma and never dealt with it. So therefore, come on, man, alcohol is right there. You know what I'm saying? Like the person that we were talking about today, I was talking about the effects of ADHD and what it really is. It's a person when they're a kid, there's no flight or fight in their repertoire because they're kids. So what do? They neurologically check out when all this craziness is going on. And they do it repeatedly, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes ingrained in their brain, and they have ADHD. So what happens is you check out, man. When things get hard or things get a little bit confusing, you just check out of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Those are the things that, like, when I think of addiction, that's why I'm really a fan of HB 1013. Really correlating mental health and drug addiction together, seeing them as one, dealing with mental health, getting insurance for that, having the doctors and everybody treat that the same way that you would treat diabetes, basically, right? That whole aspect of that. The idea of co-occurring disorders being really looked at as the root of all people that cannot stop using drugs, have issues with drugs and alcohol. The psychological side, the emotional side, the spiritual side. Get your soul right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm talking to Charles, right? My man with the ibogaine.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole idea, it's like, dude, I'm interested in all that style, because it's really looking at that attempt is really looking at the spiritual side of your issues. They want you to get right. They want you to get right with your trauma, your bipolar disorder, all the personality disorders, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
To me, that's where I think you can really make a deep impact on
It's
addiction.
promising, right?
Yeah, it is. It's very promising.
Yeah, and I think when we say things like spiritual, right, and it's like if you were to ask somebody, like, where's the soul in the body, right? Is it like right in the heart, right? We would know it's not because we know, the mind and what is consciousness, right? So,
Yeah, all that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like when we say spiritual, we mean that thing that I can't put my hand on.
Right. It's not tangible.
That untangible thing of aspect of a person.
Right.
Right. And that's
dig into that.
Dig into that. And I'm sure, and then Charles talked about that too with the ibogaine, that they did see significant brain change after post ibogaine use. We know that people who use ibogaine are immediately kind of kicked off of that withdrawal process of opiates. They do still, from what I understand and what I've read about it, is that continued support is still recommended.
There you go. Fellowship, like the networking, like getting with people that understand you and love you and can love on you.
Yeah.
Like that is essential, bro. For me, I'm just talking, again, I'm just giving my opinion on all this.
Yeah.
But, when I personally think of addiction and the issues I've had stopping it, if I didn't have a fellowship, if I didn't have somebody that understood me and loved me no matter what, you know what I'm saying, and was there just like doing acts of service for me just because.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that aspect in my life entering sobriety, if that wasn't there, I would probably be dead.
Right.
Because I would definitely got the fentanyl.
Right.
And I'll be dead.
Because it's kind of like a reframing of your childhood traumatic story.
Yeah, man.
It changes the way you interact with the world because other people become safe again.
And
right?
and again, that's why the steps, man. Like the steps are so important. Dude, the walk through step 1 to step 12, dude, is all about getting right, getting your soul right, healing
and here's the thing.
Inside of you.
All that's required is a desire to stop.
Amen.
What's required is not that you stop. What's required is a desire to. Right?
Yeah.
And I think, a lot with like what's happened with the Christian faith, right? In some ways has happened with the 12-step fellowship, right? Is it's become a little rigid, right? And we have all these traditions and practices that aren't necessarily in the literature, right? Like counting clean time, right? That's not in there,
no,
right? And when somebody does have a relapse, you know, a year or 2 years into their thing, it's such a shame building.
Feels messed up.
You got to start back over again.
Yeah.
As if the last 5 years. And if you think about it, like if you've spent 20 years in active addiction, 5 years clean, then you used again, right? To me, that's a pretty good track record.
You did
right?
good.
You got 5 years in a
Five
row.
straight.
Yeah.
5 straight.
Then you went
You
off the
did
track.
something.
Just come back on.
Yeah,
Right?
and
You
you
know,
got the tools, man. That's the thing. I don't think anything is a better relapse for prevention. It turns relapse. It's the difference between a slip up and a relapse. Like you got 5 years clean, right? And you use again, dude. You are equipped to grab sobriety again.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? You have all that. You know where to go to get clean.
Yeah.
You know who to talk to. There's people there that care. You know to walk right up in that room. You're familiar with the literature. You know what steps to do. Them are big time tools, man,
Yeah.
to get you back on track. And I think that saves lives,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
But that's just me, man. You know what I'm saying? Like back to going to Puerto Rico, dude. That harm reduction thing was fly.
And
Those
Puerto
people out
Rico's
there were beautiful, man. You know what I'm saying? For real. That was a beautiful blessing from God to me to sit there amongst these awesome people, really organized and dealing with addiction, dude.
well, I mean, to kind of tap into the mystic moment, right? I mean, you don't do harm reduction from the safety of the 6th floor of your hospital.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
you do harm reduction in the communities,
In the streets.
where the active use is happening.
That's why I
right?
got mad love for dudes like Suleiman up in Philly, Narcan Nate in Cali, my boy Mike all over the country, Mira's out there up and down the coast. These are frontline people that have access to to help people, get them to treatment. Dressing your wounds, man, when you're out there, and getting you a bath, and like showing you love, giving you the Narcan, handing out testing strips, going place to place. I think we're frontline, not to brag or anything, but we're some frontline folks, dude. We go out to the community, in our community, we set up beautifully produced and directed documentaries specifically that deals with mental health and drug addiction. And we speak to newcomers, people that's been in. We have open forum. You're going and talking to teens. Man, like this world of service is like that's what is the hell
all about.
That's what it's all about. Then that goes to the mystic moment
Yeah.
right there.
Right.
Those acts of service
Right.
is what it's all about.
Yeah. It's
You
doing
know.
something.
Yeah. But anyways, it was cool. It was cool on so many different levels, man.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably have some more episodes on this harm reduction thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think we talked about having a couple people back on and
Yeah.
and having a dialogue about
I would love to see a
Harm reduction.
panel of sorts.
a panel, if you will. Soiree of
A smorgasbord.
a charcuterie of
A
guests.
charcuterie of people coming
Yeah.
in and giving us their stuff and what they know
I think
about.
if I'm being like, if I was to give you where I kind of settle with it is personally, and kind of plan it instead of being antagonistic for the sake of conversation.
Yeah.
But I do think it has a place, and I do think that potentially it can lead to a longer term. I don't see harm reduction as a long-term solution for an individual.
Mm-hmm.
That's personally
Yeah.
where I sit with it.
Right.
I think it's just like we treat any disease.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a means in
Yeah.
which to eradicate the continual sickness, right? The
Right.
virus,
Right.
the malady, the dysfunction, if
Mhm.
there is a way to eradicate it, then that ultimately should be where we're heading. If we were treating cancer, when someone's going, hey, we're just going to make you comfortable,
Yeah.
right? But we got this cure, but you're not ready for the cure. So we're not going to give you the cure.
Yeah.
You could be free completely because there's millions of other people who
Mm-hmm.
have become free.
Yeah.
But until you want that, we're just going to make you comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if we're looking at the way we're treating a disease, and if addiction is a disease, right, and if
That's
it's
a
a
whole
mental
question within
illness,
itself too.
right,
Yeah.
then would we be treating a disease that potentially could be cured by just only treating the symptoms? It's just like if I have a cold and I go to the doctor, right? If he could put me on antibiotics, right, and a Z-Pack and the steroids, and it's going to knock the infection out of my chest, I'm not just going to sit around saying, I don't need that. Just give me the cough syrup to take away the cough.
Well, but the thing is with addiction, right? I don't think it's that cut and dry. You see, because people are like, I don't want the antibiotics, man.
What happened?
The camera died.
Who was his then?
Yeah,
My pretty face is out of there.
apparently. It cut off. It was like,
There should be more batteries in there.
So I think, depending on a person, to always choose antibiotics in the world of addiction is hard. You understand what I'm saying? So what do you do with that person that's like, nah, I'm just going to go ahead and,
Just give me the syrup.
drink some orange juice. You know
Right,
what
and I
mean?
guess that's what my point is to say that, and I'm sure that you probably found this out from that harm reduction event, is that they probably aren't stopping at harm reduction, right? They're probably making, or are they making additional long-term solution, more permanent solution, whatever that is? Are they making that available within that harm reduction model?
I think, I think they got a lot of ideas that they are trying to execute, and they are in the process of doing it. Like I said, moderation, really incorporating Suboxone into your everyday use instead of like taking the dope away from you. They're kind of like creating a way to use them both together.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's really the philosophy behind it. I don't know if there's any long-term, like ultimate finish line to that beyond the maintenance and the hope that people get right through the maintenance side and moderation side and get yourself to a place where they can go to long-term treatment. Hopefully. I think that's a big idea of it.
Yeah.
One of the big ideas of it.
And even then, the idea of long-term treatment as the solution, right? I mean, that's in no way what I'm saying is the solution.
Right.
Right. And to your point about the steps worked for me, right? And that's not necessarily what's going to work for everybody.
Right.
Right. And I do think it needs to, at whatever level, it has to be individualistic. Right. And
Yes.
humanistic.
Yes.
And I think sometimes with treatment centers and even with the fellowship, not necessarily the steps themselves, but the fellowship of the steps can be very much like, here's the cookie cutter solution.
Right.
And when, to your point about the complexity of addiction,
Yeah.
right? Because you're dealing with complex childhood traumas, you're dealing with biological chemical dependency, you're dealing with psychological dependency,
Yeah, man.
you're dealing with socioeconomic variables and factors, you're dealing with a spiritual component to it, you're dealing with the stigma of shame and guilt and
All
morality,
that trauma,
all of that stuff. When you're our boy Britt's, what he says in the Megan's Prayer, he says that addiction is the most fascinating disease to look at, to treat, and cure, because it is dealing with all of those components.
It's a big, wide scope of stuff.
And I think bottom line is like, if that's going to help you,
Yeah.
right? If what you're doing is causing you and the people you love harm, right? Whatever we can do to help you stop doing that.
Right.
Whatever that means is.
Another
I'm
option, I'm
into it.
open. I'm open to
I'm
another
into it.
option, baby.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Right. If we just start importing frogs and we licking the back of toads, you know what I'm saying? And hey,
gonna
this is the
help.
You
solution.
find me on a cliff in a desert somewhere just to get right. Hey, You're doing good. Keep it up, man. You ain't been using? All right. You getting your head right? All right, cool, man. Stay up
Right.
there.
Right.
I'll come visit you.
Right. Right. You just, all of a sudden we decided that tree houses were the solution. Right?
Yeah.
And now every park got 1,700 tree houses in it. But hey, they're healthy.
And this is one
I'll
thing
be there with a hammer
Yeah.
and a saw.
And there's one thing I want to say on the behalf of Puerto Rico, bro. I don't have too much experience with the Caribbean, but that's a beautiful place, bro.
That's my
yeah.
that's my island right there, man.
Puerto Rico is freaking gorgeous.
Is that where you're
man.
from?
That's my island. Well, that's where my dad's from.
Yo, you watch the sun come up from over there and see that water. you somewhere. You're somewhere,
Yeah.
bro. I
It's so
loved it
beautiful.
there.
How long have we been going on? We're a little over an hour.
Already?
Yeah, an hour and 8 minutes.
Whoa.
Or an hour
So
and 5
We
minutes.
didn't even talk about your
That's fine because that's what we want to talk about. But I do want to. I want to shift.
Holy smokes.
We have the man, the myth, the
man?
legend.
the myth,
All right, my brother from another
the
mother.
legend,
Yes, sir.
the homie.
And we're on this topic of harm reduction.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Andrew is living in a different way now than he lived previously.
By whatever do you mean?
But his life, but the harm
Uh-huh.
is significantly reduced.
Big time.
So
I think so.
Andrew, how would you explain the transition that you made and the place that you are at now, and what's your honest, comfortability level with where you are now as it pertains to drinking and whatever else you're into?
Well, I'm actually mainly sober now. Like I am, for the most part, most of my days, most of my weeks, most of my nights, whatever, I'm mostly sober. I live in Michigan now, and I'm back living with my parents. I'm going to school full time. I'm working full time.
Tell it, boy. That boy's
Yeah.
back into college. Tell it, man. That's real.
Reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reset. I love it.
I'm definitely living, a different lifestyle now. And what's crazy is that I think working through the 12 steps for as long as I have, there was many slip ups, there was many relapses, there was many, I've kind of been through the ringer in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that my honest opinion is that, the 12 steps it's a way of life, right? Yes, it helps you get sober. Yes, it is like one of the main things that the majority of people in recovery, not all people,
Mm-hmm.
because there are people that don't,
Oh yeah,
don't work the steps that are in recovery, and they're doing good,
doing really good. Yeah.
But for me personally, working the steps and finding that way to live and being true to myself has helped me switch over to this kind of lifestyle to where I actually enjoy being sober more than I enjoy drinking or smoking. I just kind of drink and smoke on occasion just to relax, or if somebody else is drinking, if I go out to a restaurant with my parents or on a date or something like that,
You drink and smoke like a gentleman? Is that what you're saying?
I drink and smoke like a gentleman.
Yeah.
I like that.
Almost like a normal person, dare I say, but not quite, because my mind is still kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I've hit both of you guys up actually on numerous occasions and been like, I'm freaking out right now.
Yeah.
And I've talked to y'all about, numerous things. Pretty much, I feel like pretty much everything I've talked to y'all about since I've been gone.
Yeah, man.
And that's kind of, see, what I kind of do now is I don't like to drink or smoke when I am depressed or sad. Because I know that that's a very slippery slope.
And that's the knowledge that you picked up, baby.
Yeah,
That didn't just fall on your lap.
Yeah.
Oh no,
You dig what I'm
Right.
saying?
I learned. I definitely learned that. Just from being in recovery, I learned a lot about myself.
And I'm not
who I
just
was.
bragging about that because I used to be a sponsor. I'm just saying. You picked it up.
Well, he started drinking while you were a sponsor, David.
Oh, wait a minute. What? What are you talking about?
I wouldn't brag.
Oh,
on
man.
that.
Look, man. Look.
Shit.
All right.
I'm sorry, man.
Look, man. You guys. You guys are a very big part of. I don't want to. This is gonna. I don't know. I don't want this to sound in any negative kind of way, but you know, I'm happy now. You know, and I'm in a good place. And you guys, me working here for as long as I did, and being able to do these things with you guys and reach out to so many people and help so many people, you know, it gave me that purpose, right?
Yeah.
And I was actually extremely sad to leave. Like I didn't want to, you know, but it came to a point where I was kind of like, at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And when I moved to Michigan, man, like I got extremely depressed.
Yeah.
I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Domino's and Amazon. I had to switch my sleep schedule twice a week because I was working nights at Amazon. I don't know if I should look at the computer or the camera, but and so it was.
No, you're good.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, in talking with you through it, I think you saw there was a part of you that thought and saw you moving back there as a L.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You saw it as an L.
Yeah.
And I remember having that conversation with you, like, yo, like that's not an L. Like that's actually, you're being wise, you're resetting,
bro.
You're evaluating, and you have a safe place to do so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
I know it had been a long journey, but I have seen you, especially like since you kind of got back when you got into school, and
all A's, by the way, folks. I
Yeah.
don't want to brag him up too
Nothing
much.
less than
but
a 95.
he's
Yeah.
in college right now. all
but
A's.
but and too, like to your point, like that concept of service and your desire to continue to be a positive influence on the planet,
yeah, man.
right? Like this is like where it's like it isn't black and white. None of it
Sure
is,
isn't.
right?
Yeah.
Because if he was emotionally driven, if he would have let his emotions, that deep depression, get the best of him, we'd have a whole different conversation right now.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd be meeting him at the needle exchange.
Yeah, we'd be like, oh, listen, we're gonna do some reduction. No, but the thing is, you don't know, man, and like, you know, man, you just play it out, dude. You keep, you know, you keep moving, and sometimes it doesn't feel like forward, but if you would, you know, like not only, so this is how it works to me, man. These are the pieces of the puzzle. He rolled out of here, and it was bitter. It was a bitter go going back there, right? So that's not, he didn't feel good, right?
Yeah.
But now, through that bitterness, getting through those negative emotions and like dealing with his situation, you know what I'm saying? And I'd like to think that honestly, some of the steps, some of the ideas, some of the things like perseverance and staying the course and like, you know, working that out in that way, having that knowledge, it assisted in getting him to a place where he's in school right now doing for a major that's of something that he loves, that has a lot to do. Well, he got the, you know, he's over there right now doing it.
Nope.
He's going to school for that right
Jump
now.
right in like and didn't miss a
You know,
beat.
and what a blessing that he started here
Yeah.
as an intern, bro.
Right.
Like just put it on, and now he's making straight A's in school doing that. So it's like, man, we don't know what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? But you can't get caught up in your emotions over it.
Yeah.
You got to keep it moving, man.
And there's emotional healing and emotional maturity that comes, and you know, I think, you know, anytime we're kind of trying to put these metrics, right? Like when you build a house, you need to measure and you need to make sure the walls are the same freaking height,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need a very precise measurement.
Good
When it
foundation.
comes to the complexity of the human soul and the human person, you can't measure it with the same
No,
yardstick. You can't.
absolutely not, man, because it's beyond you, bro.
Yeah.
There's no measurement stick, dude.
Right.
There's no ruler that's gonna like show you a straight line.
I don't know why I'm smiling, but I feel like we two old heads schooling our youngster right now.
I just feel weird because I'm still not even looking at y'all. So you know, y'all sitting over here talking game and stuff, and I'm like, you know, I'm just looking at the screen, not even looking at y'all. But
Yeah.
I do. There's something I really want to touch on because it's something that, you know, I did battle with a lot.
Okay.
First of all, I do want to say that like I'm not encouraging by any means anybody to go out and kind of experiment and do what I did. If you're in recovery and it's working and you're happy, stick to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go out there and encourage anybody to test the waters. Now it does say in the book, if you don't think that you're an alcoholic, go out and try. But like, be safe about it, I think. And really kind of just be, again, back to what I was saying at the very beginning of the podcast, be true to yourself and be honest, and don't be scared to ask for help if you realize that you are an alcoholic and you need to go back. Because there's no shame in that whatsoever. But something else that I really want to touch on is when I went back to Michigan, I got extremely, extremely depressed. And I mean, there was so many times where I just wanted to kind of stop everything. And I wanted to kill myself. I'm just going to be straight up honest about it.
Yeah.
And I had to, that's where you guys kind of came in a lot. With I would call you guys and I would talk to you guys about just my mental health and everything like that.
Yeah.
But then I also seeked help through therapy.
There you go.
I'm currently in therapy. I am on medication now.
Tell it.
And there's no shame in that. And if you are feeling how I felt and you were extremely depressed, or you feel extremely alone when you're in a group of people, you feel extremely alone, period, you're sad. If you feel like that, reach out to Most High, reach out to me personally.
Tell it.
And talk to us about it, because the only way that I got through it, and I'm still fighting it. I'm still fighting. I don't have those thoughts anymore. I'm happy. I'm happier now. But I think that it's something that I will kind of always battle with, that I've always battled with my whole life. And, it's just something that when I start giving back, when I do stuff like this, with you guys, and I reach and I help people and I'm there for other people, that's one of the main things that it says actually in the 12 steps.
Yeah.
It's the 12th step.
Yeah.
You got to give it away. You got to give it away to keep it, pretty much. And so if you're feeling how I felt, if you're depressed or anything like that, like, don't be scared to reach out and ask for help, because it's going to change your life.
It's going to let you keep living.
So I just want to say that, because it's fresh on my mind. It's something that I recently went through. And I'm battling it and I'm getting through it, and like Kendrick Lamar said, we gonna be all right.
We gonna be all right. By
good.
medicine or miracle, but by all means, Jesus.
Amen.
No, that's real talk, man. And thank you for saying that.
Man,
Thank
my
you for
man,
sharing that.
I love you,
man.
dude. For
I
real.
love you too, man.
I love you, Kosa, man.
Let me actually look. Hold on. I love you, dog.
man.
I love you. For real, man. It's a pleasure to have you back. And to be honest with you, dude, you've been from way up there. You have hit me up, not only because of the stuff that you're going through. You've also hit me up to be helpful to the suffering addict, bro, directly. And it's amazing. It's amazing, dude. And I just love that you shared that, and I hope that hit somebody's heart.
Yeah, I mean, if I know what somebody else is going through and they need help, I'm wrong if I don't help. That's how I see it, kind of.
Yeah.
And it's my duty to, regardless if I'm sober or not, it is my duty to help somebody if I know what they're going through, and I can help in some type of way. So, yeah.
That's it, bro.
When you go full circle in the conversation.
Man.
That's when it's time to stop talking.
People. People. Is my camera on?
Yeah,
Yep, the monsters.
Yo,
it looks like the monster's wearing off. David, you doing all right? David is sunken lower in his seat.
No, I'm up, baby.
When he started, his man bun was up there in the shot. Now it's like
It's lower.
when your man bun starts tilting, it's like a sign that you're time to go
Dave's
home.
fading out. His bun is getting lower on the screen. Listen, this has been, man, this is why I like doing, I love guests, okay? I love topics, but it really feels good, man. To get that family feel at the Most High Show. And we do this every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? And I just love it. I hope that you guys got something out of this. You know what I'm saying? The topic turned into harm reduction. That was the topic. And like I think it's unanimous that we all are open and in favor of options. You know what I'm saying? We're all, none of us are experts on what all that entails. You know what I mean? And there's a lot around it. You know what I'm saying? And we were able to pontificate on some of the stuff that could possibly be going on around it, and, different avenues and like different opinions on this world of addiction, and trying to get somebody to change that, get out of addiction, to live manageable lives, because for us in here, it's all about the sick and suffering addict. We have got to do what it takes to somehow, some way, if you are suffering from addiction and you want help, we've got to get the word out that we are here for you and we're here to help, and we'll do it. And we'll do something. We'll try. We'll try to help, man. And that's what the Most High Show and Most High Media and these group of dudes in here are all about. Putting in that work, man. We love you guys. Download the app, please. It's free. It's the Netflix of recovery. Documentaries, shows, the steps, different ideas, spirituality, psychology, information. All that stuff is in this app, people. If you have a family member that you're worried about and you're like hurting because they're suffering from addiction, why don't you have this app? If you're really listening to this show or anything like that, or you get a clip of us talking and you don't download the app, that means I guess you just ain't worried about anybody. Nobody in your life or yourself is not suffering from addiction, I guess.
2,500 people can't be wrong.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
It's free 99.
And man, I really got frustrated before I really got frustrated that a sober platform would not allow me to post the idea of downloading the Most High app. I got really upset about that, and I prayed about it, and I got through it. Why in the world would you stop?
Oh, out there?
Huh?
It happened out there?
Out there in the metaverse.
Oh, in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Oh.
They declined me of like showing a freaking recovery app. So whatever that means. But anyways.
You in the metaverse?
Well, I don't know, man. Maybe. I don't even know what that means. I guess the internet, social media, all that stuff. I try to get on the page just to give Most High a shout out to encourage people to download the app, to help them in sobriety and recovery and information. And they declined me, dog. The administrator of this sober app declined me. I'm pissed about that. But anyways, whatever. We love y'all, man. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.